I don't know if you share the same sort of excitement that I have at this point, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The big cat is back, baby. Tiger Woods is back in action, and he looks absolutely phenomenal on the golf course. His golf swing, I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. And you can fight with me if you want, or we can have a little debate, if you will. I'm just going to go ahead and say this, that the version of Tiger Woods golf swing that we're going to go through today, the 2023 version going into the 2024 season, is the best version of Tiger Woods golf swing that we've ever seen. Hands down.
Oh yeah, it's good.
And the reason why I say that with a great deal of confidence is because I've studied his golf swing every single step of the way since he started playing professional golf in 1996. And as many of the significant changes that we've seen him make, the reason why I like this change so much is that he's producing real club head speed that he can use at the competitive level that he's at. He's producing the same sort of control that we're used to seeing from Tiger. But now he's got a golf swing that is way safer on his body from beginning to end. The way that he's using his legs and his hips from the start of his golf swing is far superior than anything he's ever done. Small changes go a long ways. Working on things in the correct order is very important in the processes of change. And a lot of you at home are much more capable of making change if you have a plan that's specific to you and your needs. Your golf swing is always different than the next person behind you. Your DNA is always different. That's what makes you you. And I like you. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at exactly the changes that he's made. And I wanna use this video to help get the wheels turning in your brain, if you will, because we have some very important videos that are coming out this week. And I wanna teach you exactly how important it is to be able to work through things in a very specific order so that you get real results. Are you ready? Of course you're ready. Let's get to work. All right, guys, so this change is actually pretty fascinating. So I want you to pay very close attention because a lot of the change actually stems from the setup position, believe it or not, and it changes the whole loading process and how he uses the legs and hips through the entire swing shape. What we have on the right-hand side of the screen is we have a version of Tiger's golf swing back from 2020. On the left-hand side of the screen is the most updated look that we have from the Hero World Challenge this past weekend. And I want you to look at the address position very closely, and I want you to see if you can tell the difference with how Tiger has himself over the golf ball now versus how Tiger had himself over the golf ball back in 2020. I want you to look at it very closely. What I'm going to tell you is this, is that when you look at the right-hand side of the screen, Tiger has more knee flex, and the back of the knee is a substantial amount in front of where the center of the ankle is. As a result of this, the weight is going to be more in the forward part of the foot. Looking at the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that Tiger's got the back of the knee sitting right over the top of the center of the ankle, and his weight is now more underneath the ankle joints in his address position. Now, can you play good golf from either one of these positions? Of course you can. And why would anybody set up with more knee flex and have their weight more in the forward part of the foot? Well, think about it this way. If I were to tell you that I was going to come knock you over, what would you do? Well, you would get very wide and very low to the ground. Lowering your center of gravity feels like a much more stable position for you to be in. But the problem with that is that when you get more knee flex and you get your weight more forward, we know that in the golf swing, we're going to be creating a lot of rotational force, right? When you get set up in a nature like Tiger is on the right-hand side of the screen, what you're actually doing is you're changing your central balancing pivot joint from your hip down to your knee. And we know that knees are just not designed to rotate, right? Knees are a hinge joint. They're designed to flex and extend. And so what actually has to happen from this position, even though it feels like a more stable and a more athletic position, is that there has to be a movement or a compensation built into the swing shape so that he doesn't blow his knee out. And the beautiful thing about the human body is that the brain is really good about keeping you safe and keeping you upright at all times. It's going to force a compensation to actually take place. And a lot of times these compensations that players have in their swing shapes are done at a very subconscious level. And so when you look at the right-hand side of the screen, what you're going to notice is that from this position, Tiger is going to quickly move his weight underneath the right ankle. So if you watch the right ankle really closely here through the takeaway, a lot of that pressure is now parked underneath it. And here we are at the top of the golf swing. So the weight moves from the forward part of the foot, moves underneath the ankle joint, and here's where we are at the top of the swing, ready to attack the downswing. Now, when you look at the left-hand side of the screen, okay, I want you to look at the top of the golf swing and see if you can point out the differences. I know a lot of you at home are probably going to fixate your eyes on the hands, the arms, the golf club. And there's a pretty significant change there for sure. If you look at the right-hand side of the screen, this is a little bit past parallel and a little bit across the line, where this is certainly not over on the left-hand side of the screen. But what I look at more importantly, is I look at the legs and the hips, the torso, then the hands, the arms, and the club. And if you look at it really closely, you can see because he's set up in a more true balanced position and a position where he could rotate the hips better, you can see that the hips may have rotated maybe 3 to 5 degrees more on the left-hand side of the screen, but look at the tilt to the pelvis on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see that there's more tilt to the pelvis. Now, one of these positions can be considered a position that you have to recover from. On the right-hand side of the screen, when you have more tilt, this is going to generally force the pelvis to start to tilt back in the other direction as you start to rotate really hard, which can really start to force a lot of secondary tilt and can really lead to some catastrophic swing plane issues. But Tiger does a really good job of being able to move from this spot down into, a transition into a delivery position that's very, very sound. And we're going to watch that really closely here in just a second. So let's go ahead and watch that from the top of the swing down. And we're going to stop him right in that illustrious position that you hear us golf instructors talk about so much, the slot, right? So look at the club shaft right through the middle of the forearm. But I want you to watch the movement that he had to create in order to get here. Okay, I want you to watch really closely. Okay. So watch the weight through the feet on the lead foot. See where the weight's moving to? Now I'm just going to stop right there. Now look at the hips. You can see a substantial amount of the left glute. You can see that the right foot is kicked way up off the ground. Now if you watch on the left-hand side of the screen, this is a big difference for us, folks. So I'm going to stop in that same spot. Okay, so we're in that slotted position on both sides of the screen. Look at the trail foot. You can still see a large amount of the lead thigh right there kind of poking out. And you don't see any part of the left glute at this point. And so if you watch the synchronicity of movements on the way down, the legs and the hips are very in line with one another. If you look at the lead foot now, you don't see a lot of the pressure diving down into the lead ball of the foot or the toes, right? You see the weight quickly moving under the ankle joint. The left hip is now rotating open. And here is the impact position and how much different it's going to look than what the right-hand side of the screen looks. So let's get us both down to impact here and let's examine this. This is the most fascinating position that I was able to look at when I was doing the comparison work before I started recording today. Is that looking at just the trail foot, yes, there's a big difference there. But look at the pelvis. This is what Tiger did so well. He recovered from a loaded position that was very good, but had more tilt to the pelvis. And he got his hips almost level at the point of contact and opened up 55 degrees or so, which is a substantial amount, right? But think about it objectively. If the hips are more level, and we know with a driver's swing, our stance is going to be wider and our head is going to stay back in behind the ball, then our spine is going to have a lot of lean to it, right? And because the pelvis is more level, think about what you would start to feel in the lower vertebrae there. You might feel some discomfort. But if the pelvis had a little bit more tilt to it on the left-hand side of the screen like you're seeing here now, and the spine had that same sort of tilt to it as a result, then are you going to feel less over here? Of course. So you can see that he had to use more trail side help to get things really motoring, to get them out of the way. And in turn, that gets him into a position where he's less safe down through the point of contact. Over on the left-hand side of the screen, even with the hips rotating more going back, because the weight was dynamically moving more through the ankle joints earlier on in the swing shape, then the hips could rotate much more stable through the entire complexity of the swing shape. And that's exactly the reason why this golf swing is here to stay. This is a much safer move from beginning to end. Isn't that freaking wild how a little adjustment to the setup that's probably wildly uncomfortable at first and how much it changes the swing shape? Just by getting the weight more in an anatomic true balance and getting the hips to rotate properly, change the entire complexity of the swing shape and for the good. And so hopefully Tiger gets out there and does the damn thing this year. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what he does on the golf course in the next few events. And hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave us some thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post that stuff up below. And if you are brand new to the channel and you have not yet subscribed, please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. It helps continue to grow the channel and help us spread our message. We have a big video coming out later on the week where we're going to talk to you about the slot impact release drill that I've designed that helps students feel what it's like to have their hands and arms in the correct spot on the way down and get you to feel what it's like to move through impact just like you see the best men and women in the world do. So hopefully you guys get out there and play some great golf. Make it a great day.